Hello and welcome to another session of Mountain Home. We are here at Carrick Minor, and last time we saw our founders meeting with representatives from the Elvish folk who had migrated into this area, who had arrived kind of here around the same time as you had. They had come from the Forest of 8,000 Elms. And you didn't know much about them except they seemed to be kind of wild, foresty, elven types. But you haven't dealt with them that much. But they came and asked our settlers, our founders here, if they would be willing to do them a favor of going to another elvish area and retrieving a princess for their essentially royal marriage slash line slash whatever. The details weren't explicitly given on that, except that they could not do it because they could not enter the lands of these other elves. So there was some question things there, some enigmas, but the group agreed to do this as a favor to the elves. And that's kind of where we're taking up is with our group getting their plans together. This is probably the longest journey that you will have taken by this point. You went to the Mistland Valley, and that lay to the north, and it was a hike to get there. This is taking you south to the Forest of 8,000 Elms, and it's a longer journey to get there. We are coming to the point where I think I may actually have to draw a map of our areas here. We've gotten so many pieces in place. I think I might do that just to give us a little spatial reference. So I'm just going to go around, check in, see like a scene of what you're doing in preparation, or if there's any mechanical preparations you want to make, that kind of thing before we get started. Uh, let's see. I think, did I start with you last time, Grunheld? I can't remember. Okay. So, Dawson, we're going to start with you this time. You're making your preparations, getting ready to go. Are you going as Dawson A or Dawson Clay? Just came up with that one.
Oh, that is horrifying. Um, I think he is very happily, very relievedly going in his clay avatar. Um, I haven't quite decided to do what to do with the bulk of that like fine porcelain clay
Mm-hmm.
that the Minotaur brought, but I do think he's been playing around with it, and he's like doing some final touches of drawing some fine pattern work in the face of it,
Mm.
sort of giving it more of an expressive um, expression on it. I think it unintentionally or intentionally, whatever, it subconsciously comes off as vaguely angry and or disapproving and or constipated. But he thinks it looks very regal and serious.
So the standard clay that you use for your body is soft clay, but the magics of your rune powers and stuff make it solid for the purpose of your travel. So is that sort of what's going on with the porcelain? You're able to shape the soft clay. You don't have to fire it, but it becomes part of the the body that you've built.
Yeah, I like that. It's sort of for this purposes, it's almost like a tattoo injection.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's that brilliant blue
That's what I
to
was.
colors to that.
Yeah, that's what I really like about it.
Okay. So you are getting ready. Are you taking members of your guild with you, Dawson?
Um, I think definitely it's so far away, but
Yeah,
and even in his body, he's really sort of nervous about going this far away into the Weatherlands.
absolutely. The Weatherlands, the sun, sky, and moon lands. Dagriel, what about you? What do we see for you?
I think that one of the things is that um, I'm going to get some of that dream wheat together, some that we grew up there on the top of the mountains, to take that as a gift um, to our hosts, in the hopes that in fact they will be somewhat welcoming to us. And I think that I probably will reread all of the texts that we have that are elven texts, in the sense of like their story, things that have been, that we had accrued and someone won in the lottery when we left. You know what I mean? So it's not like we have a ton of them, but I have like at least four elven story cycles that I'm pretty well versed in, if that makes any sense. I would like to appear to be somewhat literate, if that makes any sense. I can't hear you.
And I think one of the things we established is you've made some rolls and you've
Mhm.
got a couple of free questions as you're traveling,
Awesome.
like to use to ask when we get to into a situation you can stop and ask about that. So
Awesome.
that is on there. Uh, and we will talk later if we want, if we have time, we'll talk about the sort of guild use because that was something we're going to discuss
Okay.
as a thing later. But uh, uh, what uh, are you taking your guild with you?
Uh, it kind of makes sense. Again, I've put the thing down about these underwater passages and stuff. So it's the thing of, you can see like the different scholars kind of figuring out who's going to jump on it and who isn't, like who's going to actually swing fists for it. Um, and as soon as I see my cousin kind of opt into that mode, I'll grab up the other faction that doesn't seem as interested and take them with me. That gives them a chance to establish themselves on that and look like they're undermining me. So that's
Perfect. Uh, Tolan, what about you?
Uh, I think my guild is staying behind to deal with earthquake damage. Um, and let's see here. Um, I think that I'm hanging out at the was it the merchants guild?
Mm-hmm.
Trying like just asking around about elves in general and like what the deal is. Um, who would I be asking? Oh, the centaur guy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's who I would ask. Um, like, has he heard, what the deal is with these elves?
He will say some basic information, I think. Say, I know that in the forest there are seven elvish. I've heard people say tribes, I've heard them say clans, I've heard them say nations, but there are seven groupings of the elves. They are united together in a sense that they consider themselves a collective, but they are in these seven cities, for lack of a better term, is my understanding. Uh, they don't go out much. They have fought in wars and such, and they have battles, and they have gone outside of the woods, but to the greater extent, those elves have remained static and there without traveling out. It's what makes the presence of the elves here in our valley somewhat unusual. Uh, that's my knowledge. They're to the further south, so the Empire didn't have much interaction with them except for the most sort of distant trading elements. Does that help?
Uh, yeah, I think so. I was just wondering why the elves here weren't allowed to go back, and yet the seven tribes seem willing to send someone here for an arranged marriage. It seemed a little strange. That's all.
I couldn't speak to that. I'm sorry.
It might just be an elf thing. I don't know.
There's a lot of that going around for the various peoples. So yes, that's a good default fallback. Uh Grunheld, what about you? What are you doing? And I assume you're bringing some of the guard with you.
I absolutely have to bring some of the guard. I mean, even if it's nothing more than appearance sake, but yeah, they have to be there. I want to clarify something, just and this isn't getting speculation. This is just what we were told.
Right.
When he came to visit, he said that this is a princess that did he say was a princess from the daughter of their leader? The ones here?
He said that this was a princess from those lands who is engaged to a princess of the daughter of the leader of the elves who are here in the valley.
Gotcha. So this princess is engaged to the princess here.
Right. That is apparently that is what is going on.
Gotcha. Okay, because I hadn't quite gotten was it the leader here's daughter that was up there? We were escorted. So no, this is a princess of there coming down to marry a princess of here.
Yep.
Or I'm putting up, but it's further south down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
A foreign princess being brought to the elves of your valley.
Gotcha.
For that he's engaged.
Excellent. Okay. Other than that, I think that I'm going to, with my guard that I'm bringing with us, I'm bringing Merdwin and leaving Captain Dellen here to watch over things.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't want to leave Merdwin behind and let him have a month of free reign?
No, he's ever so clever, and I can certainly use his advice and counsel on this trip.
Absolutely.
And maybe he can name something.
Who knows?
Are any other sort of outside of the guilds, are any other NPCs outside of your own guilds that you're bringing?
I was thinking of asking our friends, the assassins, if she would be interested in coming with a few of her guilds. Assassins is such a dirty word. Intelligence specialists.
The leader are at your service thing, and we will gladly come. We shall present ourselves as servants to your household. The elves need not know any more than that.
Excellent. I worry that while many of us can confront a direct threat to the princess, you and your people have a better viewpoint on things of a more oblique nature.
Absolutely. Let's go over the phrases we're going to be using if we need us to act. One might call them the kill phrases, just a heads up, we have them all in mind.
Absolutely. We will.
Don't want to get the kill and don't kill phrases mixed up.
No.
Anybody else?
I assume that even though each of us individually calmly and reasonably explains to Fishbane Nina why this is a long and dangerous journey that she really shouldn't be coming on, that right at about the point where it would be too inconvenient to turn back and go back to the mountain is when she reveals that she's
Aha! It is I, Fishbane Nina. Absolutely. I think that's a perfect add-on to this journey here.
I think Tolan has totally heard her the whole, like, following us the whole time and hasn't said anything.
I like that very much. Yeah, and I do think that we leave Hemok back behind and say, if we're all killed, you're in charge. And that's pretty much kind of...
As you say, we'll hold down the fort.
Thank you.
And you will gather your animals and your gear and your food and rations and all of those things together. There are sort of 4 legs of the journey. One is going south in the valley, which you haven't really gone through before. Another one is kind of crossing over the border, what the natural barriers are. Then there's a couple of legs to, of the 8,000 elms to get to. So let's establish this before we get to, we'll do our journey roll kind of halfway, but we haven't seen the south of the valley. We know that the valley is growing more fertile, that the magic is changing it. And we do have some of the creeks and rivers that seem to be getting more rain and water. But it's still, it's a fairly dry land here, kind of scrub, in places savanna almost, and stands of woods. When we get to the south of the valley, what is interesting or unique about that area, Dawson?
I think large, like translucent winged, almost like crystalline looking butterflies.
There are a set of enormous, like absurdly large, sort of yellow flowers. The kind of flowers that when you shake them, all of the pollen comes off of it. They're almost like bushes or trees, and there are these butterflies that are just found here in this place. And it's when there are a lot of them around, you actually have to get out cloths to put over your face because the pollen dust in the air is so heavy. But they move around. You know that they are a relatively new thing. It was one of the signs of the magic changing was these flowers blooming a decade ago and these butterflies coming. And there's some suspicion that they're going out and pollinating and spreading that around. And that may be part of the growth, or it's just a result of the magical change, something of that sort. And you travel through these lands, seeing these wondrous things you've never seen before. These outside things, Dawson, that fly past. But eventually you'll travel and you'll hit like what is the natural sort of changeover barrier, the cross point between your lands of the Redstone Reach to the forest of 8,000 elms. Dagriel, what is that? Is it a valley? Is it a river? Is it what is the point where we go, oh, we've moved from X to Y?
So I think it's a really strange, like trough, like just a valley sort of, but not like a real deep one. But the thing that's remarkable about it is that when you're walking over it, you can always feel like there's water running underneath it. And there are, from time to time, you'll come across these stones that like the water is just flowing out of it. You never see the water otherwise unless it's coming up through these stones. And when you're walking on it, it's not like the ground is all stone. So it's a really weird thing, as if these stones have almost like piped down into it. There's not like it's coming out with pressure. It's just sort of leaking out of these stones. Like
And
they're
because
a sieve almost on top of it.
Because the ground does, as you say, start to dip slightly, the sort of a downslope for the 8,000 elms, there is a lot of water that seems to be rolling. Like as soon as you get past that, it moves from being, the red stone and dust and some greenery to almost immediately you've got vegetation and roads that are kind of marked and kept clear of that, and grasslands, and the forest is there in the distance. Now we're about midpoint, so let's get that journey roll out of the way, just so we can have that done with. So who wants to lead the journey, potentially marking stress, but also marking XP?
I got 2 stress.
I've got 1 stress. I can do it.
Alrighty, righty.
So,
Dacrio, let's have you start.
Okay.
So you're making a journey roll.
Yeah.
So you've got 1 die for that.
Okay, so I'm rolling a 1d6.
Yep.
And I rolled a 5.
Well, 5. Okay, so partial success. Tolan, let's have you make your journey roll.
4.
4. Another partial. And then Grunheld. 3. So mark 1 stress, Sherry.
Okay.
Sorry.
And
It's okay.
Dawson.
And I'm gonna tag my guilds.
That's what they're good at.
To get a 5.
Get a 5. So I think that one of the issues that you will find is that like a little ways into your travel down here, like you can see the woods in the distance, but you lose the road. There are a couple of roads here, and no one has, after a while, the way you get into the valley, no one has cleared anything. And things have grown up and have broken through. These weren't particularly sophisticated roads. They weren't like imperial roads set with carefully cut stone and things like that. They were more paths, and it becomes significantly more difficult for you. And I think that you have a timetable of when you need to be there. And I think that you'll realize as you are traveling through this that you are losing days. Would someone like to resist that consequence? Also, Grail, don't forget to mark a prowess XP.
Oh, thank you. I'll resist it.
Okay.
So I'm rolling with prowess?
That does feel like prowess, since it is
Okay.
prowess is for journey.
Okay. So that's rolling 3d6 to try to resist it. Oh my gosh. All right. Oh, I got 3.
So, like how do you tax yourself kind of getting the group back onto the path, you think?
I think I and my scholars and we realize that we need to triangulate. And that's the thing it's exhausting. I actually take the far running thing along with one of the scouts to do the furthest point because you have to get some distance to get a decent triangulation from the sun and the mountains and all of that stuff to get us back on uh, route. And it's literally me running on my short stumpy legs for a day. um half a day out, make the measurements, send the signal up, and then coming back, and hoping they got the calculations right, if that's it.
Yeah.
So
And you'll be able to kind of plot a better course in the direction of those woods.
mhm.
Uh, Tolan, before we actually get to the woods, and again, 8,000 elms is a large forest. You can see the expanse of it there. But we kind of come down to the valley, lush greenery, move down into another area. Like what is the significant or unique thing that we see about this land before we actually get to the forest?
Um, the valley kind of what's I don't remember the word for it. It's one of those really obvious words. Anyway, it kind of traps clouds basically, or moisture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's like most of the moisture is probably in fog here, and the valley traps it. So as like there's a lot of just sort of swampy areas, and as you get toward the forest, like the air is hazy, like even when it's not actually cloudy.
Yeah.
It's just
Uh,
very humid.
so not like a uh, uh, maybe more like the moors.
Yeah, that's mhm.
The fog kind of stays down. It's kind of cool. The ground kind of cools. You have to be a little bit careful. It's not the full like, oh, I'm going to fall in the bog and die, moors, but
Right.
it is some softer ground that you have to move on. And I think that the thing is like in the morning when all of you rise and begin to travel again, that fog is there, and there's something about it that seems to grab the noise of your passage and echo it back to you, but slightly changed. Like it you can tell it's moving to your same beat of footsteps and so on, but it's just a little bit different as you come along there. Uh, what is once you reach the forest and the elms, like what is the signifier of the entry into that? Is it a structure that's there? Is it trees? Is it something magical? Like what do you think that is, Grunheld? Like what do you see up ahead out of the mist and fog as you walk along that says, okay, this is the way we go in to enter the forest?
I think there's an entwining of the branches that kind of create an arch, almost a tunnel through, following the path, the roadway, and it it almost becomes kind of solid as you go in around and above you, so that you've got almost a covered bridge feel. But also, as we're approaching, we begin to hear the sound. We think at first birds kind of tweeting that we hadn't heard much of before. And soon as we get inside, we begin to see flying around brightly, differently colored, like the dinosaur birds,
Mm-hmm.
the reptile type birds. It's that sort of creatures up in the trees, lighting and tweeting, that there's so many of them here that we've seen none of before. It's like these pops of color in the trees suddenly appearing.
And there's that kind of rich loam on the ground here that I mean, it's rot and decay, but it feels clean, even as you're walking through it. And I think you'll see there are nuts everywhere, of all kinds and descriptions. And there is, when your party arrives, there is a figure that is there waiting. They are sat sort of cross-legged on a stump, and they've seen you coming, and they will stand and wait until you approach, and you will see this. Elves are very hard to judge age on, but he certainly appears young, to your eyes. Uh, you will see that he's there. He's dressed. The clothing is more formal, more well defined, more civilized, maybe than you saw on the elves where you were from. But there's still some more natural elements there. I think the thing that will strike you is that he has essentially branches growing out of his hair that blend in with it. And when he approaches, he has a sort of a cast to his skin that at first you assume is tan, uh, but it almost looks like wood a little bit. The color of it when he approaches, there's a smoothness to it, and so on. And he will say, "Greetings to you. I have been tasked with bringing you and your entourage through the woods to reach Saravarn."
Greetings. I am pleased that you knew of our coming, and we appreciate your welcome.
We are a day and a half away at the pace I estimate for you to reach Saravarn. If you permit, we will travel the rest of this day, and we will stop at a way station. We'll be close by Resazna, and I may, if we need to resupply, I can impose on them. But otherwise, we will stay in an encampment outside of their realm. Is that
Absolutely. We dwarves may not be swift, but we are constant in our movement. We will not slow you down.
good? Good, good. I hope it was not taken that I suggested that you might have.
Of of course not. A friendly jest.
We do not yet as many outsiders, and I am a relative youngling, so you'll excuse me if I seem perhaps naive in my reactions.
Not at all.
And he will walk you along through these trees. It is the forest of 8,000 elms, and I do think you see all different species of elms of various types here. Different coloration and so on, but they are that. And I think you can definitely feel like this is a place where there's a harmony to the nature. You don't have this, you don't see the rotting trees or trees that have been struck by any kind of disease or anything like that. Uh, and he will bring you along here. Dazim, what do you think now that you're kind of under the canopy of all of these trees?
It's better. I mean, it's part of it, I think, is setting off all of his sort of like dwarfy cave-in instincts. You know, the trees make it look like we're in a tunnel, but that tunnel is held up by wood, not stone, and there's breezes and it moves, and that's unnatural. And also, it's been like so humid for so many days now. And I think just his joints are very sort of bendy and loose. His clay is moister than he was prepared for, sort of thing.
And I think there is a bit like once he will introduce himself as Radrin. And like once you're walking along and he's kind of standing there, and if you ask questions, he'll answer them. But I do think there is at a certain point where he does a double take when he finally kind of catches sight of Dawson. And he says to you, Grunheld, kind of steps forward and kind of as you're walking, he says, "May I ask a question?"
Of course, feel free.
Is he special? Is he older? Is
Oh,
that why he is that way? I would
he is
understand.
very special. He is one of our masters of stone.
So that is how it is. That is how it is. I understand.
Very learned.
It is like our people then. We share many things in common then.
Perhaps he is embodying this form.
I do not know if I understand what you mean by that term.
His body is physically elsewhere, and yet he can project himself into this edifice.
Oh, that is an automaton, a shell, a lifeless thing filled with his soul.
It is a vehicle.
It's a vehicle, like a cart?
In its way, yes.
So it's a soul cart.
I would imagine that his soul is probably still with his body. His consciousness is inhabiting it.
So a mind cart.
A mind cart. That's a very good thought. Yes.
Oh, that might actually be a pun, because as I understand it, you dwarves have mine carts.
Oh, a jest from you. I knew I'd get one eventually. Good lad.
And he will walk along. I think the other double take he does is when he catches sight of Fishbainina. And I think that's the point at which he's become aware that you're the scholar, Dagriel. And he will come over to you and he'll say, "May I ask a question?" Is that a dwarven child? Your silence bothers me, as well as your lack of a name.
That's terrible on my part. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Dagriel, and this child is Fishbanina. She is visiting with us, and she insisted that she come along because she had never seen the elves.
She's not a little dwarf.
No, she is, and I sort of say, well, Fishbanina, introduce yourself.
And Fishbanina will come up and it's be kind of like vibrating, waiting for the chance, and she will introduce herself. She introduces herself as Fishbanina, of the Fishbanes of blah 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 in city. But then she announces herself as member of this guild, and then member of this guild, honorary member of this guild, and she says, and then bows, and he's like, "Oh, I've heard of goblins.
Mm.
but I have never seen one.
Ah, and she sort of stops and says, Fish Panina is excellent company and a joy to know. And I hope that you might meet other goblins as wonderful and intelligent as she.
This is excellent. Good, good, good. And you will travel till until evening, until you reach a what's clearly a prepared clearing out, and you can see in the distance a glow from the woods that is definitely magical, and maybe in the distance you can hear sounds like there's a settlement there, uh, but you're camped a ways outside. And he says this is a traveler's resting spot. We will stay here this evening. Uh, are you adequately supplied for food, water, all of those things?
Oh, yes, we have enough for here and back, mostly.
Good, good. Then we do not need to bother or call on the Raisana. That's fine. And he will kind of settle down, set up the encampment here. And I think that the four of you will see Fishbainina just staring at those lights over there in the woods. What do you want to do here this evening, Tolan? You're also a person who's somewhat curious about things.
Oh yeah, I'm totally gonna go check out those lights.
And how do you want to do that? Do you want to just say, I'm going to go check that out, or are you going to be more subtle about it?
I think I noticed Fishpanina like looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, come on. Because otherwise she'll just go by herself. So so I'm totally using her as an excuse to go check it out.
Okay. I'm going to assume that the various scholars that you brought around Dagriel are actually peppering your escort with questions, and so he's probably a little bit focused in on that. So I think though Dagriel, Dawson, Grunheld, you will notice Tolan and Fishbainina like out from the edge of the encampment towards those lights and the settlement.
I cross my fingers.
Grunheld, are you keeping quiet? Are you not saying anything?
Yeah, I'm sort of letting that go through.
Okay. Tolan, you will come with Fishbainina to the edge, and there's this weird thing that happens is you look and there are the elms, and then there stop being elms, and you will see that there's a whole different kind of tree here. There are varieties of it, but it's not like a tree that you've ever seen. It's almost a little more like tropical looking here, and there are buildings, some built with wood, but there are other materials. You can see there's metalwork and stonework here. There is clearly a community of elves that are dressed in finery. You'll see gossamer cloths and clothing and dyed stuff and so on. And elves of varying complexions, but a number of them with skin that is bark, and some of them with like horn roots, and so on. And in the middle of this sort of settlement area, you will see an enormous tree, and it is the same tree as these other ones. Uh, uh, and but it is huge, and there is a power in the earth and in the air around it that is coming off of this heart tree that's at the center of the settlement, and it is teak wood trees are the trees that are around here, and the one in the center is enormous. What do you two want to do?
Um, hmm. Thought through exactly what to do. I think.
I think Fishbane Nina's jaws is dropped.
Yeah, yeah. I think I definitely want to like check out one of the smaller teakwood trees.
Yeah. So this feels like maybe you're trying to kind of gather some information here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's do a roll for that, shall we?
Sure. That sounds like a great idea. That cannot possibly go wrong.
Oh, I think it can. uh, so what do you want? Does this feel like scout?
Let's see. Is it scout? Where is it? I hope it's not study because I have nothing in study, but
You do not have anything in study. Scout is 2 dice. That's pretty good.
yeah, I'm not reading through anything, so I I guess scout works as well as study. I didn't want to cheat and say it was
Right.
scout.
Do you want to use any supply for this?
Well, I already rolled, and it was a complete and utter failure.
And I think you've moved into the edge of uh this area, you and Fishbane Nina, and uh there is a sound like a pure musical note, as some kind of alarm, gentle and melodic sounds. And you have the sense that maybe the note tells these people like what direction it's coming from, because you will see some guards charging your way. Do you want to accept that, or would you like to resist that consequence?
Okay. So I have 3 stress boxes left.
That you do.
um, so do I want to? Hmm.
I can accept the I'll can resist the consequences for you.
Absolutely.
All right. Maybe as you're heading over there, I feel like something more like perhaps be careful. We don't know their ways very well. And do this resist off of resolve, perhaps?
Sure. 3 dice.
Okay. Got a 5, so I'll take
Okay, so
stress.
1 stress. So there is that bit where like Runeheld stops you. Uh uh the the bell sound peals, but you fall back before they can kind of come to where you're at. Uh, and I do think that there is a moment there where you will see Radrin kind of stand up. He doesn't look angry, doesn't look upset. He does kind of walk over, and he will apologize to you, Tolan. He will say, I'm sorry. I should have probably said that we shouldn't step into their city without being invited. I I am very sorry for not having told you that.
I, I'm sorry for not asking. It should have occurred to me.
And he will go, and he goes to where the guards have kind of come rushing over, and you will see him have a conversation with them. And then eventually he will return with one of them, who will greet you all, and we'll say greetings. I am of House Resazna. We are the Tree of Teak, and we understand that you are passing through to Ciravern.
Yes. And I stand up and I say, I am Dagriel, a scholar of the dwarves. And she sort of bows and she says, we are. And she goes, the lights of your village are very beautiful.
It is one of the great trees taken from the garden. And he says that like you ought to know exactly what he's saying.
And I think I sort of stop and I say, teak is the most stalwart of all the trees, is it not?
Yes, it is. Your guide kind of like, well, actually, but he says it combines beauty, strength, and flexibility. It is a wood that carries with it a shine and a luster. Um, your companion said that you are on a tight timetable, but on your return passage, if you return this way and wish to camp here, if you require anything, you may call on us.
Bow. Step back so Grunhild may speak.
I think you smoozed as well as anybody can hope.
Okay.
I just sort of smile and nod.
And I think I do. She does stop and say, we have never seen these trees. We have only heard of them. It would be a joy to us to be able to witness the beauty of your trees.
That would be a pleasure to us, so long as you don't set roots here. And he says that like a joke, and
Mhm.
and your guide kind of like pulls a face.
I laugh though, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're not much for traveling, but we tend to be a little bit more subterranean. So
I understand. Well, I will leave you and your companions to rest, and wish you all a good night.
thank you.
And he will vanish back into the woods. And Radrin kind of sits there for a bit. Well, actually, Oak is the most strong and resilient
yes.
of the woods. I mean, there are many fine points to Teak, but
Will we be passing by the city of Oak?
we are going to Ciravern.
Oh, that is the city of Oak. Oh, it is. And I write it down.
He looks offended.
No. We have so few books on the elves. I apologize.
I see. It is the heart tree of the seven.
Oh.
It was the one first planted, and we lie at the center of this. We are the heart of the rings of the trees.
Ooh, that sounds significant. I'm looking forward to seeing your city then.
And you all will kind of turn in for the night.
Mm-hmm.
I assume, unless there's shenanigans afoot, Dawson, I see you tilted slightly. That says to me maybe you were thinking of something, but I just want to make sure.
Okay. No, I'm good without shenanigans. Who knows when like all the trees might fall down, or what if a raindrop hits him?
Yes. So let's take our first break here. And then we will arrive at Ciravern the next day. The next day, you will travel through the woods. You get deeper in, heading towards the center. You're definitely, again, seeing the elms, but then at a certain point, you can see light from up ahead, and further out than the sort of line colon that you saw before, you will start hitting these oaks. Big, powerful oaks of different kinds here. And you will make your way down kind of a ceremonial road into a large area, kind of a space that's a clearing. And I mean, and it's a good sized buildings here. Very much think sort of some of the illustrations of Rivendell from the old Tolkien stuff before the movies came out were kind of a little more fanciful in the pictures and decorations, and those kind of stacked up that kind of reach up into the trees. And you would guess population here of maybe a couple thousand. It's a significant gathering, and there are people moving around. They clearly have metalwork. They clearly, have a lot of woodwork, and you will see people again here in various stages of having that sort of look of wood to them. Some actually that look a little bit older, that look like you're like wooden, like literally like they're almost made of trees. But you also see some younger ones that look that way. So it's clearly not an age thing that is happening there. And in the center is this oak, and it's the largest tree you've ever seen. I mean, that's not saying much for dwarves, but it's California redwood, huge, and all of you can feel the power that is coming off of this thing. And I think instinctively, you dwarves are of the earth. You can tell that tree is not of this world. It is something else entirely.
So when they talk about the guarded, it's from some other place, like the moon or something.
And there is a large group of these elves that are gathered there, that will come out to greet you. All the formal, diplomatic codes are followed. Ceremonial dress. One of their people will come forward with a statement of greeting, and then you respond, and like all of those things. And I'd say 100 fishbane hyenas, and she's probably counting them. And go through all of those rites and ceremonies. Now, this is where we make kind of the approach roll here.
Can I also, I think looking at the group, I see someone I recognize. Can I use my talent?
Sure, so long as they're not one of the elves here. They could be an outsider.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So
someone is part of the party, I guess. Should I roll to see the quality of the relationship first? Or you want me to kind of give a definition down of them first?
Which would you prefer? Which will help you? Would you rather roll to see before you do that?
Let's see how good a friend they are.
Okay.
So I roll I do a host fortune roll. So 3d6. I got a 6.
Got a 6. So who is this person who is a good and solid friend of yours?
Okay. I think that if it's okay with you, I'd like for you to determine what species we're talking about.
Okay.
But the reason I know them is that during a conflict at one point in time, they served with my husband and I in our younger days when we were still in the forces, still fighting. Somewhere along the way, this person was stood in the shield wall with us when we fought.
All right. Give me 1 second to find a good picture for you. Male or female?
I think male.
Okay. You will see a fawn, a satyr, who what is his name?
His name is Bilthus.
Spell that for me.
Bilthus.
And he doesn't say anything because he's back in there. You have the sense that maybe he's a guest here, but he will catch your eye and will bow to you.
I'll give a little nod and also damp down my reaction.
And I need to do this. Hold on. So let me look at the details here. Can you roll me 3d6?
Absolutely. 336.
Okay. So they are very like pleasant to you as you arrive. And eventually one of them will step forward, and once the sort of formality is done, and he will say, I am called Valdivar. Greetings.
I am Grunheld.
I am speaker at this time for Siravern. We are the House of Oak, as you can see, and we have received word that has been sent to us as to your purpose here. You will be our guests. It is common procedure for us to host our guests for 3 days. So we will do that. We have provided areas for you and your company to rest here in the city. Those places have been cleared. All honor will be given to you. You are formal guests, so you are welcome to move about, speak with our people, talk as you wish. We grant you the rights of hospitality in this.
Thank you. I, Grunheld Thane of Carrick Minor, appreciate your generosity, and in the name of the founders of Carrick Minor, hope that this is a sign of good friendship between our people, and we would, of course, welcome any opportunity should any of your people wish to speak with us and exchange stories. We are inquisitive about your people and hope that you may be the same of ours.
Well spoken. But I will have Radrin show you to your lodgings, and then we will gather for a feast. And we will speak of those matters of questions and so on that are happening. So like I want to get a kind of check-in as Radrin is kind of moving you to the the settlement places and things like that. What is it that you are doing? What are you looking for? Or like, is there mechanical like investigation, questioning, or anything like that? I want to give you an opportunity to do that kind of before we go to the fest thing, making a positive impression, whatever. Dawson, what do you think you're doing?
Um, the festivities later on, where are they gonna be?
It looks like they've kind of set out an open air court. You can see them moving tables and stools out for everyone. They've kind of done a head count now of your entourage, and they're clearly kind of getting things set to that. Taking a few places away because they kind of overcounted. But that's out, and they're getting magical lanterns set to surround that.
Is it anywhere near the tree, or is it away from the tree?
So imagine we've got the edge of the woods, the kind of clearing in the buildings, and the tree in the middle. So kind of in the middle.
We gotcha. I think he's really curious about the bark people to begin with, but certainly once we got like a glimpse of the tree, he would really like to try and check that out, get closer to that, investigate, ask deeply personal and inappropriate questions.
Absolutely. So you will head over there, and there is an elven figure who I won't want to say protectively, but certainly like just cautiously will move over to come to stand beside you and will say, I am not familiar with you, with what you are.
I'm not overly familiar with what you are either.
What are you?
I'm a dwarf. I'm Dawson. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Runejaw.
But you are not as are the other dwarves. So if you could explain that, I would appreciate that.
Oh, yes, I am wearing a different body.
I see. I see. Of clay.
Of the blood of our mountain. It helps protect me out here in the dangerous wilds of the Weatherlands.
Ah, so you're wearing a body made of mountain blood. All right.
Yes.
Can I answer questions for you? Yes, I can. Will I? Yes, I will. Do you wish to ask them?
Are they one of these barky people?
Yeah. I actually have a picture for him. He will introduce himself finally as Felling.
My, we have a lot of NPCs at this point. Oh, okay. Oh, he's fancy boy. So, it seems like it, but your tree has a spirit?
No. But it's not like you would conceive of that as spirits, no.
Has a presence, certainly.
Yes, that seems like a reasonable way to put it, yes.
Oh.
Do you wish to inquire further about that? Is that what your intent is?
Well, yes. What can you tell me of its presence?
It is a tree that was brought down eons ago and planted here and became the heart of our village. It joins all of us here, all of us of Seravan together. It is the life of all of us, and sustains and keeps us and manages us.
Did you come with the tree or just, I suppose, catch it?
There are a few who were there when the tree was brought, but they go out rarely. They are less motile and mobile than others.
So what is it that makes you worthy of its blessing?
I don't think it is a question of worthiness. I think it is what we have done and that we are tied to it.
Done? You do something to tie yourself closer?
I think you're thinking in a shorter span than I mean. Oh, would you like me to explain what I meant by that?
I assumed you would get around to it.
Eventually.
You seem to ask yourself a lot of useful questions.
It is a thing. When the gods were thrown down and heaven was cracked open and the great engines of destruction were made and we stormed the gates, and found the empty thrones and slew the gods and made weapons of other ones, our people took trees from the Garden of Heaven and brought them down and then closed the night road behind us. And these are those trees.
That was a very long sentence. These trees, this one and the teak and I don't know, probably some elm somewhere.
Bocabole, teak, mahogany, walnut, rosewood, ash, and oak.
Like, Dawson was really stressing himself to think of those three names. This is like complicated hieroglyphics tumbling out of this elf's tongue right now.
Why don't you think on your questions, organize your thoughts, and we will speak again.
All right. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes. How do you achieve that miraculous blue?
Oh. Well, it's a magical suspension of a very fine eastern clay that I was gifted recently.
Ah. So you didn't make it precisely yourself?
I made the designs and put it in myself, and I am still experimenting with further uses for... But do you make many clays?
No, I do not. I'm not sure what that has to do with anything.
Oh, I don't know. Let's see what it's very... Try and do something to look nice for me.
What it meant was I would have had questions about how the clay was made, as you described it. But since you are not the creator of the clay, it would be useless for me to ask those questions of you.
Yes, I suppose those questions.
Yes. I think we're done here. And I think there is another 5 minutes of the two of you staring at each other before one of you like kind of backs away from each other there. Dogriel, what about you?
This is old, like some of the oldest mountains, maybe older in the sense of, I mean, the mountains are older, but this place, this village and everything.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I want to do is get a sense of like, I have a sense of like for the mountains and even human establishments are there places where people work, where they live, where they grow things, where they keep animals, to kind of get a sense of like what kind of layout there is, what things are like. But I'm familiar with what things are surprising to me, like these communities. Um, are there fields? Are they growing things, or do they just food just seem to be like from the tree or something like that? Does that make any sense?
Yeah. This feels like study.
Okay. All right. It is. So I think I have a 3 in that. Yes. Not that that guarantees me anything. I got a 6.
So you will notice a few things here. One is that they do not seem to eat very much. Like you see some people eating like what's clearly their evening meal, and it's like a walnut and a half. And you will note that around there seems to be gathering from the bounty of the forest to eat food, but not very much. And so it looks like they might have groves because you do see some fruits and things, but otherwise strikingly modest in that. But I think the other thing that you will notice is this feeling like you're looking around at the arts and crafts and the books and the decorations and all of those kinds of things, and nothing is new. Like it's all old. Even the stuff that you're seeing that like is clearly maybe you see that it's newer in time, it's very much the same sort of patterns and looks and stuff. There's not much innovation there.
Interesting.
Do you have a follow-up question?
I have lots of questions.
Why don't you ask me one, and then I'm going to go to Tolman.
Great. I think the thing that I'm going to ask is what are the predominant symbols here other than trees that are part of their design and their aesthetic? I mean, is it magical symbols? Is it religious symbols? Is it, that kind of, is it sun and nature?
There are clearly, I'm going to say this as least Hoosierly as I can.
Roof.
There are patterns of roots.
Oh, good.
As
good
opposed
job.
to roots.
Yeah.
There's some roots that are kind of work like those kinds of simple, like geometrical shape patterns in branches and roots are clearly common. There's a lot of work with colors in a very particular range, like the colors of trees, of woods. So they're working in browns and greens and things like that, with accents of a few other colors. But the other thing I think you'll see is that they do have the equivalent of magical symbols here that are like if you ask somebody, they'll say, the sigil master made that. And you will see that they are like a complicated gathering of things together, like to form a sigil for what's clearly something of magic. But everything is done in curves and circles. All of the strokes, all of the lines.
Like I can kind of see where the compass would be used kind of in some places.
Yeah.
And then the golden mean and all. Oh. Yeah, and I do think the thing is I'm looking at doing this.
Yeah, there are a few of the kind of like the shell spirals for some of the sigils and things like that. And I think like you're not a rune master, but I think you can tell when something has a similar weight of power to it.
Okay.
That seem fair?
Yeah, it does. Okay.
What about you, Tolan?
So you actually just covered the things I wanted to ask about. So
oh, sorry.
no, that's good. So I think I would like to follow up on that by like trying to find the person who makes these.
You will ask around, and they will say there are 3 sigil masters. One of them is dead right now. And the other is occupied, but there is a apprentice of sorts who you might speak to. And they will go and they bring this youngish looking woman who has a very different cast to the bark and things. It's almost like she has brambles and thorns rather than the wood and things like that. And there's her eyes are red. Like the other elves have some solid colored eyes, but it's mostly kind of a green look, and it kind of the tint catches it. And she will be introduced to you as a Neverburn. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. My name is Tolan. I'm an artisan, and I craft some magical objects for my people, and I was wondering if I might learn from you and share knowledge of mine. I always try to learn of other people's crafts when when I'm abroad, and I would be happy to share information too.
I would be curious about to see what you do. I do not think that in the time we have that I can teach you how to do it, but I can show you what I do if that is what you would like me to do.
I would love to see a demonstration of it. I have never seen elven magic before.
This is one of the kinds. We are the sigil masters, the sigil makers. We are static and long term. There are others that are pack bound. The sorcerers that cast the flashy magic, the battle magic, and those sorts of things. But we do the workings of creation. But let me show you. And she will draw out this needle, and she says, well, we're going to need a surface. Let's go over here. And she'll take you to the edge, to where there is an oak. You'll see her kind of put her hand on it and like say some words, and then take it away. And she goes, uh, how about I show you a sigil of illumination?
That would be wonderful. Is that what is used to create the lights for?
Yes, yes. In embedded, yes.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Okay. And she will take this uh, needle, and she goes up to the tree, and she doesn't touch the tree, but you'll see her take it, and she starts moving it in these circles and these patterns and so on. And you will see her etch the air. Like you can see where she cuts. There's like a line of distortion. And she does that, and she creates the sigil, and she says, it's best if you do this close to where you're going to apply it. And then she will reach out and concentrate, and she touches the sigil, and you'll hear like a crackling sound, like it clearly there's some interaction. And she will push it, and she will touch it, and you will see when that touches the tree, it creates that etching in the tree itself, and it gets bright light here. Like the tree glows with an illumination. And she will say, this here, this spiral, this you can move your finger along, and she'll do that to it gets brighter, and it gets dimmer.
Oh, that is amazing and so useful. I wish we could do that with. I may have to learn how to do that with rock if it's possible.
I do not know. I do not know if you can do it. I do not know if it. I've never thought about it. I always assumed that the power came from the tree. Maybe it does. I hadn't considered that.
I don't know. It's something to try. The tree, does it the tree the is it the body of the tree, I suppose, that extends farther out than you can see, or is that something else?
You mean the root system?
No, the you touch it without touching it.
Uh, yes. Well, that is, how do I put this? Things can go wrong with the creation if one is not careful and mindful. So one does it in a place where if it does go wrong, the backlash is reduced. If when I first started and I did this and I had not quite gotten the hang of doing it in the air, so I actually did it. They had me doing it on the surface, and I did it wrong, significantly wrong. And I had practiced and drawn so on, and hours, hundreds of hours of practice, and I made a mistake. It was a different kind of surface, and it discharged, and it broke the tree. It shattered the tree that I was doing this on. So it's better to do it in the ether.
I see. That that makes that makes a great deal of sense. I could see that would be a problem. But you're using the energy of the tree when you do that. You just need to be close to it, not touching it.
Oh, of the great tree? I don't know. I've never left here.
Oh,
So
oh.
I don't know. I mean, I've left here, I've gone to the other cities, but I've never left the outskirts of the woods. We don't usually do that. Like clearly this is something she hasn't thought about
Mhm.
too much.
Are you from this city? Are you from somewhere else?
And you see her stop and kind of look, no, I am from Sirifern. She says very soundly, as if this is a thing she's had to deal with before. I
Oh,
am
all right.
of the oak.
I believe you.
I apologize.
I'm
I
sorry. I
apologize. I
didn't
just
mean to offend you.
no. It's fine, fine, fine. Sorry. Tell me, and she'll kind of look around. You come from the place where the others went to, the severed.
Not far from it. Yes, we've obviously seen them and talked to them. We don't see them very often.
Are they well?
They seem to be, yeah.
Oh,
Uh, and I don't remember the name of the person who came to see us. But
that was. Let me scroll up here. Volmir.
Volnir, yeah. So, we've spoken to an elf named Volnir,
Volmir, yes.
and a few others. They seem to be doing well.
Is
Uh,
is offering well?
I don't know. I don't think I've met them.
That's okay. And you can tell it's not okay, but she's like, so show me these runes, and she'll ask you to because she wants to see what you do. So
Well, our runes are much easier to. It's still easy to make a mistake, but they're much less complex to draw. That's the thing about stone is it helps to have a lot of straight lines, and I say then I
straight
start
lines. You use
demonstrating
straight
some.
lines?
Yes, it's easier to carve. It's harder to make mistakes.
She's shocked. Uh,
Not that we do occasionally make mistakes and things explode for us too.
straight lines. Ooh, shivers. Let me cut away from you to Grunheld. Grunheld, what is there anything you want to do for the feast here?
Um, I suppose I'm going to go see if I can find my friend Bilthus.
And yeah, you can track down Biltus, and he is there, and he says, "There are many places in which I expected to meet you in my lifetime. Many places. They are distant far from here. There are many places I expected to hear of you. They are far from here. This is not a locale, a place that I ever expected to see you in."
You old shield scourge. I'm surprised to see your trotters in this forest as well. Come back with me. I have beer, I have pipeweed. Let us talk.
You have real beer.
Indeed.
All they have here of that kind is fermented ant milk.
I don't want to even know.
It's root beer.
Oh, no, come.
Literally.
Oh, charming people, I will say nothing against them, but not brewers amongst them.
No, no.
What brings you here?
Ah, this is a place that lies on the path to the southernmost ice wall.
That you are passing through.
I am. This is a pilgrimage, a journey of sorts for me for reasons. You did not, I mean, it's been some time since I've seen you, and I met them after we had served together, but my partner passed.
Oh,
And
I am very sorry.
he had always dreamed of seeing the wall at the edge of the world. And so I am taking what remains of him there to join his spirit to the waters that lie there.
That is a noble trip. I don't know if you may not have heard. My own dwarven mark has passed into the stone as well.
No.
Yes, yes.
I am so sorry. And he'll reach out his hand and put it on your shoulder. I am very sorry to hear that.
He passed with honor and dignity, and he was ready.
You have not yet explained how it is that it comes to be that you are in this place.
I'm running errands for another elf, in truth. The old... the old... Correct, Miner. My last adventure. I'm leading a group to unearth, to revitalize the old metropolis. And in our local environs, there is an elven group. Apparently, refugees, maybe exiles. Maybe you can give me a little insight that have taken up residence there, the Autumn Dawn. And I was asked as a favor to escort a certain princess to her wedding.
Oh.
That look does not fill me with happy feelings, Belthus.
I have been here long enough to know that this exchange is fraught.
How so?
That I am not certain of. I know that the elves that left, they call themselves the Severed. That when they left, it was a lot. It was quite a number of elves that left, and that was apparently of significance. And something happened as a result of that. I do not know what. I
was told they are not allowed to return.
That would not surprise me. They are called the Severed.
So there are people here who are not pleased that one of their princesses is going to join them.
That, I think, is exactly what I mean. You have it there.
Well, it's not my fate to have just a nice feast and a pleasant journey.
Well, we shall see. We eat, we drink. It is 3 days of hosting that they will do for you. I have been here longer. Because I know this next leg of the journey will be difficult, so I may have abused my hospitality a tiny bit. But
It is nice to see a familiar face, and when you return back to the north, feel free to come by Carrick Minor. I would love to show you what we've done already, and it has not even been 10 years yet. Already the halls begin to ring with hammers, and there are children, Pilthus. Children.
I take it that's significant.
It is a home once children have been born there.
I understand. And he will nod, and there'll be the sound of music to announce everyone being brought for the feast, and the tables are laden mostly with vegetables. There are clearly some meat dishes prepared in a very basic way. Essentially roasted is kind of what they know. They don't eat much of it. The portions are pretty small for you. And at first you think maybe because you haven't walked around to see this Grunhild, that maybe they're being a little parsimonious, but then you realize that they're also eating very small portions and getting stuffed on that. But eat, drink. They will put out this fermented ent milk, and it is as disgusting as you think it is.
We will have brought a couple of casks to give as gift. I don't know if they'll drink it, but it will be offered to be tapped.
Yeah, they will do that, and this will go on for a few hours, and there will come a moment when, in the midst of this, Valdivar comes over to where you are sitting, Grunheld, and puts his hand on your shoulder. He says, "A word."
Yeah,
Thane.
Certainly.
And he will take you away from the others into one of these houses, and he will gesture for you to sit down.
Thank you for your hospitality. The feast was very pleasant.
Good. I am prepared to offer you 6 treasure right now in easy to transport goods, with the promise of another 3 treasure in a year's time, if you and your companions will take yourselves and leave empty-handed. Let's take our first break, or our second break, rather.
That is a kind and very generous offer.
Do not think kindness has anything to do with it, but I hope that you perceive it as generous.
You would not have to pay me anything if you wish for me to return and say that you are refusing to send the princess.
That is a different matter. I am asking you to return and say that you were not able to make it, that you were not able to arrive here. You can present whatever tale you wish as to the circumstances of that, but make it clear to them that you've tried once and you will not be going back again.
We are not familiar. Therefore, I will not take immediate offense that you wish to pay me to be a liar. I would ask, does the princess wish to go or not?
That is neither here nor there.
Then she does, because if she didn't, I will not transport anyone against their will.
I was of the impression that your people put great value in material goods and wealth. But I was also given the impression that you have a young settlement, that you are just rising up, that you are at the first footsteps of becoming a great colony. And that is the kind of thing that requires wealth to support. And I can offer you that wealth.
My people value many things. Our honor, perhaps, highest. I do not think it is wise for you to make such a decision on the spur of the moment. I would need time to think on this.
Take the time that you require. Speak to your comrades if you wish to. I would hope that we can do this in a spirit of friendship between our two peoples, and particularly between you and I, and that you would do this and not condemn my daughter to death. And he will nod to you and say, I should return before we are noticed.
Of course. Would you mind overmuch if I had an opportunity to speak with your daughter?
It would be inappropriate for me to say no. But I would ask that as leaders of our two people, that you not relay this conversation to her. I would take it a personal favor if you would not do that.
Absolutely. That would be inappropriate, sir.
Then we have an understanding. Thank you. And he will head out. No sign of like anger or anything like that. Like he clearly wasn't sure what your reaction is, though probably expected you to take it. But he's thinking about things, and so he will go back out.
Yeah, I swallowed down a little racism myself there.
Yes. I think it's probably opportune for sort of post meal, post party for the four of you founders gathered together in the the places of rest there after this to share what you've learned.
And I'll also have asked, trying to find her. There she is, Surike. To be present as a founder as well.
Okay.
And it'll be, I've laid this out as we start. And that's what he said to me. And I didn't say, oh, you pointy little bastard. What do you mean by that?
You're muted, Shay.
And she sort of, I think Dario kind of shrugs and goes, I mean, it's practically his obligation as her father to try that, isn't it? I mean, in the storybooks, they always do. And I cite like all sorts of stories where the fathers do whatever they can to prevent their daughters from marrying someone who they think will be bad for them.
They have those stories here too.
Yeah.
It seems as though they are considering it the same as death, to be leaving. No further communication. Dead to him would be her position.
Are you sure? He said dead.
Yeah, and it sort of stops and goes, they did make a comment about someone being dead now? Like, as in, they're currently
did,
dead, but
yes.
that'll, like, not be a thing later on.
Seemed very casual about it.
Yes.
Seems like death is not really a big concern to at least some of the people here. So I don't know what he's worried about.
Hmm.
It might be that the severing means that they're no longer connected to whatever makes death merely an inconvenience.
Who were they speaking of that supposedly was dead?
I'm sorry, Dolan. I did like kind of listen in on that conversation.
I saw you.
Behind a tree.
It would have been strange if you had not.
Exactly, that's what I thought.
Lowell?
Yeah.
In-world knowledge, how long ago was the whole God's War thing?
It was, I think, 500 or 600 years ago, maybe longer, long enough that people know it was a long, long time ago.
Felling did say that there are several of their members, at least of the Oak, that participated in and came through the God's War.
Wait, what was their participation in the God's War?
Yeah, and actually, let's say a round number. Let's say 1,000 years, just because that sounds more magical.
It does. An eon. Ooh, an eon is the most magical word of them all.
From understanding it, basically they were landscapers who got angry about their employment and had to run away.
The gods were?
No, the elves.
Oh. I'm not sure that makes more sense, but it does make a very different kind of nonsense.
Dagriel, the God's War was many generations ago.
They say 1,000 years. The sorcerers made night roads, climbed up to heaven, killed all the gods they could get a hold of, looted the place, and came back down. But some of the night roads are still around, though they're supposed to be locked away mostly. It's dangerous. They're super dangerous. Bad things can come down. Dumb people can go up.
But elves are said to be very long-lived.
These ones certainly.
1,000 years is a lot. If they're the ones that came down with the tree, maybe there is something to the connection with it.
Well,
and once they leave and it's severed, then they no longer have the nigh on immortality of these elves. I read about this in a storybook once.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
I'm pretty certain that the princess wants to go. Call it woman's intuition, but he certainly gave me the impression that if I ask her, she wishes to find her betrothed. Simply put, I can't imagine any of us would approve of taking someone against their will.
No, of course not. The elves in the north don't have their own tree, do they?
That we know of, right?
Not that we know of, no.
Begging your pardon, says Saruke. I just want to put out there that I have looked around and identified some of their sorcerers. So should we need to fight our way out, they will be the first to go, and we can take care of it that way. I think that will make the leaving easier.
Oh, that's handy. Do you have a list of like names or general facial features that you can?
I can point them out to you if you wish.
Oh, that'd be very helpful.
Okay.
That is good, Saruke, but let us primarily hope we can avoid any sort of bloodshed with these people. I worry more about if we take the princess, what we may encounter on the road before we get home.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if the story is we were unable to accomplish our mission, if he's willing to give us a king's ransom for it, he may very well be willing to make it a reality in a more physical fashion.
I suppose that's true. Wow. I guess we could try to be sneaky.
Now, the question first
But we're
is,
dwarves, and we're very bad at sneaky. I mean, most of us are, and I'll look at Saruki.
the first question is, do we take the money and lie to the elves?
No.
No.
Oh, he says, looking around the room.
It is a tremendous amount of money, but I don't think it buys our honor.
No,
So,
and we need good relations with the elves near us more than we do with the elves here.
I'm going to speak with the princess. Perhaps if anyone wishes to, perhaps we could invite her here tomorrow. A little getting to know you before a journey. That would look appropriate.
Yeah, that may scare her off, and that would work to her dad's agreement too. So there you go. Either way.
We cannot, and I repeat, upon your honors, if you are unable to follow through with this, perhaps absent yourself from this particular dining, we cannot tell her of her father's disapproval. That will not give us the answers we need, and it would put us in very bad faith with our hosts. Agreement from everyone?
Sure.
I don't see any reason why we would tell her about a private conversation.
Which one's her father again?
The one that I spoke with.
In the roby thing or the dressy thing?
The one who offered us money to just leave.
No, Veldevar. Veldevar, the
Veldevar.
speaker.
Whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Very good. Well, we'll see what she has to say, and if she wants to go, it sounds like we're in agreement. We will escort her as we promised.
Yes.
No dissent?
Let's cut forward to the next day. Let's do that meeting, and then I want to give you all a chance at another kind of once around here with the elves and describing what goes on. But the next day, you will speak to Radrin, who will go and get Unsawning, and will bring her here to you. She has some of the leaves in the hair and some of the skin of wood to her, but she will bow with formality. You will notice that she hasn't been out before this, and
we didn't see her at the feast.
Didn't see her at the feast. And she will bow and will greet you and say, I am Unsawning of Siravern. We are well met. I hope that you have found the hospitality of our city is excellent. I am only sorry that I was not here yesterday to greet you.
It's quite all right, and we found the hospitality most wondrous, your people most kind, and well, if we are to be traveling companions, we thought it would be nice to have a little sit down and become friends. I am Grunheld. These are my fellow founders of Carrick Minor, Dagriel, Tolan, Dawson. I know her name and I will say it. Surike.
That's good. I appreciate that kindness, especially since you didn't send word ahead that you would be here. I hadn't had time to get things ready.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. We didn't really know how to send word. We thought perhaps that word would have been sent. We don't completely understand the situation that is going on, and we don't wish to pry. We are merely friends of your betrothed's father. And I'm just curious, considering that it seems like they aren't coming back here. Are you? Do you feel all right leaving your family with the potential of maybe not coming home?
I don't think it's a potential. I mean, it is a certainty of that. I don't. I mean, I must confess, I am definitely nervous and trepidatious about this. One, given what is going on, one could not be anything but. Uh,
But you and your betrothed have a bond. You are pleased to be going to meet with them.
I have sworn an oath and made an obligation. On my honor, I have done this. And that is vital to me. I have made a promise, and I will carry through on the promise, regardless of the change in circumstances. When I made that bond with offering, the circumstances were different than they are now. But I would not be who I am if I were to go back on my word. You understand? I know and have heard that you people of the deeps, Crystal, the dwarves, have an equally strong, if not stronger, sense of honor.
An oath is an oath, and we understand that.
I don't want to dominate this conversation, so y'all jump.
Uh-huh. Will any of your people be traveling with you?
I do not know. I would not ask that of them. I have spoken to Neverburn about this, but she would not be welcome even amongst the severed.
Really?
Why not?
Do you understand how we elves live here?
No.
We are tied to the tree, as you know, as you can tell. We live a span of perhaps 150, 200 years, unless disease or war or some matter takes us. When one of us dies here, another child can be born. The numbers remain the same here amongst our people. But when many die around the same time, then the tree brings them back. You have seen us who are deeper in the bark. The more times you're brought back in that way, the deeper that becomes.
Ah.
The number is a dozen. We know that. And so when someone of importance dies, another 11 take their lives because they will come back.
All 12.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes things do not go correctly. Sometimes there are problems where someone comes back wrong. And that is the case with Neverburn. But the severing means that those elves will not return, will not be part of this or have a chance to be reborn at all. It is if I go, I know that my lifespan is my lifespan.
This Neverburn is someone close to you.
She was. I died. It was a stupid, silly accident. And she took her own life to be amongst the 12 that would bring me back, as did Offering. But Neverburn came back wrong. The others did not. And I feel some guilt for that.
Well, Neverburn could stay with us if you don't think that the Severed would welcome her.
You would have to speak with her on that, but if she would wish it, I would be appreciative of that.
I've spoken to her. She seemed curious about the outside world, but of course we can ask her. She's very welcome to come.
She should be taken from here, and taken from here soon, before they do it again.
Oh.
They believe that if she's brought back, eventually she'll be back right. And so she has been part of all of the sacrifices to be resurrected.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, she's coming with us. I mean, we'll try to talk her into it.
We're not going to kidnap her, but
not exactly.
Very welcome to come with us.
That is a good point. As Dolan speaks here, we're not kidnappers, nor are we enforcers of obligation. Do you
The
wish
enforcer
to
of the
go?
obligation is me. You're assisting me in carrying out that oath. So I ask you formally, Thane Grunheld, will you please take me with you back to the lands from which you came?
If it is your desire to go, it is our mission to take you, and we will shield you with our lives along the trail.
And she will bow and she will say, I should speak to my father and to Neverburn. I hope that you will enjoy the hospitality. I will endeavor to make sure the mood may be dampened, but I hope that my people will treat you with equanimity.
Thank you, Princess. I look forward to our travels and getting to know you better.
And she will bow.
Once she leaves, I'll look at everybody and go, well, shit. Huh, this isn't going to go well.
And I believe that if her oath is important to her, then probably oaths are important to them all. We should call upon that.
Agreed. I wish I wish that she had seen circumstances changed and she could stay where her heart would most wish to be. But that is not for us to decide, I suppose.
Here's what I want to do. I want to give each of you another chance if there's an interaction or a scene or thing you want to do while you're here. And then we're going to come to a roll from Grunheld. This is going to be the let's negotiate. Let's make sure that that you don't send mercenaries to cut us down in the woods roll. Does that seem fair? So Dawson, the next day after this meeting, you have a chance to go out and look around again, and I think you'll see Felling is waiting there.
So what are they for?
You've used a pronoun, and you've not explained what the pronoun is. Please give me the referent.
The trees.
The trees. They are
The
trees.
glowy ones.
The glowy ones. Do you mean the one in the center?
It's the oak and the teak and the mogi thing.
Mahogany. Just because I want to make sure you get this right. Cocobole, teak, mahogany, walnut, rosewood, ash, and oak.
Rosewood, other woods.
The trees support us. They allow us to connect our lives and sustain our population. We do not need to eat as much as other people because, in part, we are fed by the strength of the tree. The tree provides a certain amount of energy for magic here, and it influences positively the woods around, allowing us to gather more efficiently and never have to worry on that point. So that is what the tree is for.
Hmm.
What is this body for? Like, why are you sickened such that you cannot travel, and so you have sent this body?
I've traveled many places. I can travel if I choose to.
Oh,
This
you did not. And he doesn't say lazy. He says you did not wish to expend the energy to come here.
I assure you, it takes significantly more energy to come in this way than any other.
Then why would you do it this way?
You elves are, or at least your elves, are tied to a tree, and
Mm-hmm.
we dwarves are tied to a mountain. It is an important place, an empowering place, a comforting place.
Oh, that makes
And
perfect sense.
going out
Your
into the
explanation is sufficient. You don't have to go on.
don't really think you understand anything about it.
Well, I don't think you understand anything about woods because you weren't able to even name a simple seven of them, but let us call it even on that score.
So
I tell you what, perhaps I could provide you with some wood, high quality from our trees and some of the others that you could take back. Uh, you are a craftsman of clay, but perhaps there are some amongst your people who are craftsmen of wood, and that would be useful, a sign of generosity.
it is rude to refuse gifts generously given.
Absolutely. And I hope that you will give me some kind of gift as well.
I have several runic crystals.
That sounds very interesting.
Have you ever thought about what it might be like to record your voice for future generations?
What a marvelous idea. I had not thought of that. Do you mean writing?
No, not your words, your voice.
Oh,
Let me tell you
forgive me,
about
I misunderstood.
let me tell you about the benefits of the intimacy of the audio medium, and also question you about your current pillow needs and satisfaction.
And like he will have some blocks of beautiful wood brought to be loaded onto your carrying beasts, and he would be very pleased with the crystals. And he will thank you and say, "This is a magic that we do not have, and it is impressive. And you are a skilled artisan, and it has been a pleasure to speak with you."
Thank you. I have also spoken with you, and will find some use for your woods.
I note that you do not echo my sentiments of pleasure. I am sorry that I was a disappointment to you.
Did I not? Oh.
You didn't. Would you like to correct that now?
It seems like it would be very awkward and forced at this point.
Fair enough. I will just remember this. And
Well,
cut scene, I think, on that note. Dagger Hill. Mute.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Let's see here. I think I will probably go and find Ryden and say, hey, would it be possible that we could just take a trip around and maybe see the other cities so I could like take some, make some sketches, see it kind of, how they're different? I've
Well,
seen the teak one from afar. I've seen this. It's
they
just
are
marvelous.
a day away.
Ugh, I'm sorry.
I could take you to one.
Ooh, which one would you suggest we go see?
There is a certain beauty to mahogany, and to they are all good woods.
Uh, is there a friend that you would like to visit in one of these places? We can go there, you can have a visit, and I will walk around gawping. How about that?
That seems fair. In that case, let us go to Cocobole.
Okay, let's go.
And yeah, and he will take you on a trip.
Mhm.
What kind of traveling animals do you suppose they have here? Is it
Wow.
horses? Is it something else? Is it giant eagles? What do you think it is?
Oh, well, of course there's giant eagles, but those are for going like above the forest. And then we could go see all the cities if we did that. So I'm sure he hasn't got access to those.
Right.
I'm thinking maybe like giant stags, probably more.
Okay.
Giant
The
deer. Yeah.
yeah, the antlers
Hmm.
and all of that. And you will uh take him. He will go there. I don't know if you've seen cocobole. It's a
Mm-mm.
tropical wood. Let me quickly screen share just briefly what
Is it the one with the crazy colors?
that's what a cocobole. You can see the kind of
Oh,
wood grain pattern in it.
it
It's
is lovely.
a deep tropical wood.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, but he will take you there. He will
Mm-hmm.
introduce you to the people there. They will be surprised to meet a dwarf.
Mm-hmm.
They will be excited, and like they are different than the people that you met at the other at Teak and Oak, and that they're just very excited to see you there. Uh, they they like pepper you with questions. They answer your questions. They sit you down. People come through. They keep you there. And at the end of the time when you're supposed to go, they kind of don't want you to go. Like they're like, surely you could stay with us for a few months.
I would, I would love to, but I am sworn. I have taken an oath to assist uh, my Thane on the trip back. But
Oh,
perhaps, if at some point I will come back, and this is where I will come to stay.
oh, good. And they will be pleased by that. They will
Okay.
hold you to that. What about you, Tolan?
Yeah. So I have a possibly dumb idea. Um, see, who would I actually? Maybe I'll just go talk to Neverburn again since I've
Yeah.
talked to her before, um, and she would probably know the answer to this. uh, so we've spoken to Unsunning, and
Oh,
uh, she's determined to uh, to abide by her oath and come with us. Uh, she said that she'd also spoken to you and asked if you would come, and I want to make sure that to let you know that you are very welcome to come with us. Um, and that you if you wish to come with us and you cannot stay with your people there, my people are, well, we are not exclusively dwarves in uh, our city. Welcome people of all nations, and you would be very welcome with us.
did she tell you why I would not be welcome amongst the others?
Not really, no.
I am I am poison. I am dangerous to be around for long periods of time. I at least among my people. I have to be careful who I touch. I have to be careful who I'm around. I I don't. I know that leaving here means that there is an end. I I don't want that, but I don't want to die anymore. It has
That
been very many times,
sounds
and each
miserable.
time I come back a little bit less.
I don't know if you were dangerous to anyone other than your own people, but we'll figure something out if you are. I don't feel any ill effects standing here.
I don't want to die, but I don't want to harm other people. But I would go with you, but if you will promise me that if I cause harm, if people sicken because of me, then you will remove me. I do not think I will be brave enough to remove myself.
I don't think it will be an issue, but I promise. I do have one, and forgive me a if this is an inappropriate thing to ask. I I don't know the customs here, and I don't know what is important and what isn't, but the small oak trees, do they come from the heart tree?
They are grown from seeds from the oak.
Do they have the same powers?
No.
I was going to ask if you took a seed with if it would eventually become, well, another heart tree.
Oh no, no. These were ripped from the grip of the gods.
Has to be one of the
But you could
originals.
grow a lovely oak.
Well, I suppose symbolically uh, that might be good, but not practically. Huh?
And
Well,
yeah, we must cut there. And it's it's a feast, it's a hosting, it's that third day. It's been kind of downbeat throughout this, but there is that bit where you get to that formal place where documents are brought out, where agreements are set to, and like this is you and Valdivar kind of at it, making sure everything is right for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think that role is? Does that feel like convince?
Yeah, I think it's going to end up having to be convinced.
Okay. Uh, do you want to push yourself?
Well, I would ask first, Dagger Gap, your work and studies, you're willing to help me?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I have examples of contracts from the past with the elves, and I've gone over them with you of the terms and how these things are usually sketched out. Everything is 3 of 3, and that's how you do it. And as long as you hold them to that, they can't mess with it.
All right. And I can't get a devil's bargain because I've gotten help, but I will push myself because I can do that. And I will
Want to mark something to bring it down from desperate
try
down
and
to
sway
risky?
things a little bit here by putting on.
Did you freeze up, Tyler?
You did.
Oh
Can
dear.
anybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Matt,
Sorry.
you,
Okay.
So, what are you marking to change the positioning?
I'm marking my heirloom gear.
Okay. So that's 5 dice. 5 dice
And
that you're about to roll.
I'm dropping the rather than doing result up, I'm dropping consequence.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Surely this will go well. And I think I'm couching it in the statement of we are all oathbound. It is not for me to take away someone's oath, nor is it right for my oaths to be questioned in following. And couching it very much in that. And here we go. I got a 6.
It's the last die is a 6. Take your people and go.
I will simply sign. We will be leaving immediately.
And like as soon as that is done, like all the elves here rise and turn and walk away from all of you.
I will make a motion, and the shield guard will form up. All of our shit is ready, and we are starting the march.
And you will march back to Carrick Minor. You are unmolested on the trip.
Did we get a chance to visit the one in the middle that had told that Agriel that she could come and?
Well, they're in a different direction, but if you stop by Teak, like if you stop by there,
yeah,
they will be kind of shocked that she is leaving, but they say that's oak business, not ours.
Right, and we'll buy some provisions there because we didn't ask for anything when we left.
yeah, they will help you out, and speak with you and be curious about Dawson and talk with you. They'll actually probably make you like convince you to stay overnight there for your travels and so on. They will perform some of their performances here. They do puppetry with animated wooden puppets that like are essentially like someone's casting the spell to move them, but there's no strings on them.
Oh, how cool.
And he will make it back to Carrick Minor. And that is where we're going to stop today. We'll take up with the like if we want. I don't think we want to do a second expedition, but we'll see. But we'll definitely move into settlement phase next time. Sound okay? Let's do a quick stars and wishes. Dawson.
This was neat. It was a very strange place filled with weird elves, which elves should be weird.
Yep.
And I really like the twist on nobody wanting the marriage, everybody wanting the marriage, that sort of thing. Was neat. I really like the scene of us like talking through how we wanted to move forward with that.
That felt good, yeah.
Wishes. I don't think I have any new wishes. I still want to see what an expedition to fix our relationship with the mountain is like.
Yeah, let's talk about that next time. And uh I'll come up with the shape of that. I think that that's a smart thing because you can kind of define like what your goals are, and then we can talk about the means and kind of
Hmm.
build up collaboratively on that. I think that would be very cool, and especially because it would be good to do the next expedition kind of in Carrick Minor, given that you've had to travel out for a while. So I think that you're out, right on the money there. Dagrio?
I enjoyed, as uh, Patrick mentioned, the elf stuff a lot. It was interesting. The whole thing that they were essentially you some of the sorcerer kings, for all practical purposes, who went and killed the gods and stole their stuff, was sort of an interesting thing where when Dagriel heard that was kind of like, ooh, not the good guys. But still kind of fascinating to see and fun to visit, that's for sure. Um, Interesting conundrum, kind of a sad story, and I'm glad that we're getting a bramble elf because ours is a place of brambles. I think she'll be just fine here at Carrick Minor, yes.
Technically, she's a poison oak elf.
Really? The best? That's actually really bad. So, however, there's probably no one who's fatally allergic to it.
Right.
So that's, but that's interesting. Okay, it was good. It was good stuff. I liked the journey there where we all described different places on
Oh
the way.
yeah,
That's
that
always
was
a
great
fun thing
stuff.
to do. And it's just kind of a nice, mellow, collaborative journey. So I always enjoy that. And getting to ask dumb questions and have unexpected things happen. Yay.
Awesome. Wishes?
Hmm. I am hoping to set my rival up to, what do you say? To start actually pushing. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
For her to get her feet under her and start giving me, a situation where I need to throw punches back.
Yeah, and that maybe also like we'll talk next time about the mechanic for guild actions.
Okay.
And it may be one of the things where we like do it at the end of the season. Like if you haven't spent all your guild stuff, maybe we use that as like kind of a basis. If you don't want to save them for the downtime stuff, maybe if you want to use them there, we can do some stuff with them that way.
Okay, that sounds good.
Uh, Tolan?
Yeah, like everyone else said, stars for the elves and their lore, which I thought was really interesting, um, and also for throwing interesting NPCs at those of us who have no negotiation skills. The elven dozen, as they says, and yes, poison oak elf. Um, yeah, I really liked that, and thank you for giving us something to do also. uh and that whole conversation uh with the speaker and Grunheld. I stars for that. That was really cool, and I liked how there's like very short consideration and then just like no wavering, like nope, this is
Anything wishes wise?
um yeah, I'm also looking forward to like the kind of in mountain expedition about the mountain also. uh I think I think that'll be very interesting. I have absolutely no idea how it would work, and uh so I'm looking forward to it. I'm curious.
Awesome. I will, by the way, I'll mark it later, but you'll be getting some payout from this reputation and wise and so on. And last but not least, Grunheld.
I thought this was a cool one. The elves very interesting. There's something, things never go great when you have to sacrifice to keep your immortal god king alive, and that gets a little I loved the interaction with Dawson and his elven counterpart. The sparring between them was very fun and interesting. That was I found that a lot of neatness to see the two of them there. That was fun to watch. The other NPCs also excellent. I really thought it was a sweet tender moment with Bilthus. I really liked seeing how that paid out. I thought it was cool. I think it was neat that you put out a difficult conundrum on a couple of levels, because obviously, it's a little icky to say we could be bought off, but theoretically we might have.
That was a lot of gold I offered you too.
Shitload of money. But the second thing was hearing it as an obligation from her. There was that also end of, is that right to just force her to follow an obligation? But in the end, I liked how we all came together and kind of said, well, she's made an oath, we've made an oath, the oath, we just got to do what we got to do. And I liked that happening. And I liked our conversation with her. Thought that was fun. Wishes. I know we're a little beat up, but we might could squeeze out that mountain expedition.
Oh, interesting.
It should feel dangerous because we've just had this earthquake. It should feel like something we really need to do. And, maybe it causing us some horrible ends from it, maybe that's the right thing.
All right. Yeah, let's put that on the table starting next session.
And
I think that's a good
my
combo
other
to have.
wish would be, in my game, they're going through discoveries quicker, almost too quick. We popped a couple of discoveries really quick. I feel like we're hitting ours too slow. I'd love to see some of our mountain discoveries get a chance to play out.
Yeah, well, you guys need to
Yeah.
check out more places.
Yeah. So as we get towards that final end, I would love to see us try and push that a little bit.
Because of the 6, you've gotten 3 of the 6.
Oh, have we?
Yeah.
Well, I thought we only got 2.
No, you've gotten 3.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad. Well, all right. I'd love to see at least one more.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. But that's me.
Awesome. Thank you all very much. I am going to stop the recording